Hello, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Today, playing some best of 3 ranked historic, this time around with Selesnya enchantments. I'm going to talk briefly about the deck and then hop into a few games. As usual, there are timestamps in the description if you just want to see gameplay. So before I talk about the deck, I do want to talk about my week. I've had quite the week, and I have a little bit of a story that goes along with this deck. I actually recorded some footage for this deck last Sunday, and when I went to edit that footage on like Tuesday or Wednesday, I found out that all of those videos were unusable. Something was going on with the encoding from my OBS, and it just made all of the videos garbage, basically. So then I spent the next couple of days messing around with OBS settings, messing around with some of the graphic settings on my computer, and I don't actually know what I did, but I ended up kind of bricking my computer. This morning I woke up, turned on the computer as usual, and I went to do some stuff, and the computer just kept shutting down, and it kept saying that there was some error going on and it didn't know, and it recommended that I reinstall Windows. So I'm not all too familiar with computers and all that. I'm not super technical anymore. So I just reinstalled Windows, and I've spent the rest of the day cleaning the house and reinstalling everything. All of my OBS things were gone. Thankfully, the videos that I did record yesterday, which actually turned out okay, are still usable and there, so that is some good news. Anyways, I've had myself quite a week. It's been very, very eventful, and I haven't really been playing too much Magic because of that. Still, I am back, and I think things are ready to go again, and it should be fine. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have any issues anymore. I think I found out the reason why the encoding was being troublesome. So, fingers crossed, let's keep moving forward. So this Selesnya enchantments deck, this thing has been super fun. I've really had a good time playing with it. It is playing a lot of cards from the new set, and I've not seen anybody else play this specific makeup of this deck. I've seen a lot of people messing around with enchantments because obviously enchantments are an important thing from Kamigawa, and we got a lot of new toys that have improved a lot of existing decks, or decks that were kind of on the fringe that are able to now be competitive. I definitely want to try out the standard auras deck as well. That'll be a video that is coming in the near future. But today, this deck, Selesnya Enchantments, Lurrus is the companion. Originally, when I built this deck, I had 4 copies of Cetessan Champion in the deck. I also had some copies of, oh my goodness, I'm going to forget what her name, Catilda, was in the deck, preventing me from using Lurrus as my companion. But I've since gotten rid of all those. Only 1 CMC and 2 CMC cards in the deck, so Lurrus as a companion is probably the best way to build the deck. We're also playing 4 copies of the new Generous Visitor. This thing is pretty fun. Every time I cast an enchantment, I get to put a +1/+1 counter on something. Because of this card and one of the other new cards from Kamigawa, I figured it would be nice to have an enchantment / +1/+1 counter theme going on with this deck. So I also jammed in 4 copies of Hardened Scales. Always nice to have that. I love this card. It doesn't get enough play in the format. It's probably not really good enough for Historic because of all the crazy broken stuff that everybody does in the format, but I love Hardened Scales, so I definitely want to play it in my decks. Another new card that I did mention just a second ago is the Kami of Transience, a 2/2 for 2 spirit. It has Trample, which is super handy. Then it says whenever I cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on the Kami. So I could actually load up this card pretty big with the Generous Visitor and the Kami of Transience on the field. Every time I cast an enchantment, it's getting +2/+2, and if I have a Hardened Scales, it's getting a lot bigger. Then it has another ability. It says at the beginning of each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return Kami of Transience from the graveyard to your hand. So it works pretty well with the Saga that I'll talk about in a minute. And then it also works with maybe All That Glitters. If I put this on it, they kill my Kami of Transience with an All That Glitters that's on it. And then they go into the graveyard while I can return the Kami of Transience. Unfortunately, I'm only playing a single copy of All That Glitters. I did have more auras in the deck. I wasn't really jiving with the auras though, so I ended up kind of cutting most of them. Maybe that's a better build of the deck. I'm really not sure. I'm just kind of following my instinct and what I kind of want to do with the deck right now. Then the other new card that I want to talk about is Michiko's Reign of Truth. This thing is pretty sweet. A Saga for 2. It says target creature gets +1/+1 until the end of turn for each artifact or enchantment you have on the field. Then it says for phase 3, exile this saga and return to the battlefield as Portrait of Michiko. It gets +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment you control. So just a pretty overall strong card, I think. The first and second phases actually pump up the creatures quite a bit in this deck and can lead to some sudden wins. To round out the deck, just a lot of other enchantment matters cards. Scythus, drawing cards if we need that. We have Life's Bounty, gives protection to our enchantments and our creatures. A couple of copies, 4 copies of the Ranger class. I think it's pretty solid. Gives a body, allows us to keep doing that +1/+1 counter synergy every time we attack. And then the level 3, if we get into some troublesome spots, I can use that to get a little bit more value. Stonecoil Serpent is in the deck, +1/+1s again, and it can just be a massive threat. It can also be a pretty good card to block some blockers because it has protection for multicolor and reach. And the last card in the main board is Baffling End, a little bit of removal in the form of an enchantment. The lands are pretty typical selesnya stuff. 2 copies of Lair of the Hydra, though. I'm not really sure if I want 1, 2, or 3 of this card in the deck. Right now, I am playing just 2. Over in the sideboard, 4 Snakeskin Veils, a little bit of protection, and +1/+1 for our creatures. I decided to actually just to put 2 copies of Rune of Sustenance in the deck just before starting the recording. I figured getting a little bit of lifelink on these massive creatures could actually probably win just by itself against some mono red decks. 4 copies of Rest in Peace to fight against Graveyard Hate, 2 copies of Heroic Intervention to get a little bit of Indestructible against Wrath of Gods, and then finally 2 copies of Warbriar Blessing. Pretty neat enchantment that I think doesn't see enough play. It enters the battlefield, gives your creature +0/+2, and it has obviously synergies with every other enchantment card that we have in the deck, and then it allows one of our creatures to fight another creature that the opponent controls, so a little bit of removal. That is the deck. I'm gonna try it out in some games. It's maybe not the best deck, but I do enjoy playing it, and that's what matters these days, right? So let's try it out and see how it goes. See you in the games. All right, time for some Selesnya enchantments. Hopefully it works out well. I haven't been having the best of luck playing this game the last couple of days, I'll tell you that much. Opening hand looks okay. Yeah, it's been pretty rough going. I don't know. Been running into a lot of people playing a lot of very strong decks, and I'm definitely playing things that are, in the realm of questionable. Still, it's been all right. Been having a good time. This morning with the computer troubles really threw me off, but at least it gave me a little bit of time to actually sit down and watch a movie. I watched a couple of movies actually over the last couple of weeks. I've been watching a lot of movies, in fact. Last night I watched a movie called Psycho Gorman with some friends. Had a real good time watching that movie. I can't believe the opponent didn't have a play for 3 mana. That blows my mind. Let's get rid of the Llanowar Elf. Okay. Put out the thing and then, yeah, sure. And then next turn, looking real nice. Yeah, oh my god. Last night I had a blast watching that movie with the guys. Psycho Gorman, if you're unfamiliar with that movie and you like outrageous gore and just silliness, I highly recommend that movie. Not one for the children, that is for certain though, so keep that in mind when you're putting that one on. And then I watched another one today while I was downloading and installing a whole bunch of files called Freaky, which was a movie that I didn't really, I go on Netflix and I always look up horror movies. I don't know if you know this about me, but I love horror movies. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but it is my favorite genre, that's for sure. And yeah, this very, very silly movie called Freaky. It's basically Freaky Friday, but just cute and weird. Oh boy, I could double block here with the... That's not a terrible block, is it? There's no way they have... Like, this protection is not really necessary. Getting their forest is huge and that I can kill Nissa next turn. I feel like this is an okay play. Yeah, sure. So I have a couple of options. I could put out the Scythus, get a card draw, and pump up one of the people. I could also put out the Kami. I think I put out the Kami first. Maybe it's just pumping the Ranger class. It's a better way to go. Yeah. We'll get her off the field. Okay, that feels pretty good. Good turn. Good game one. What is the opponent doing? Weird stuff. Do I need the blessing just to get a little bit of fight damage going in? I don't know what creatures I could possibly kill, but killing their lands could be pretty huge if they have another Nissa on the field. So I think I will do that. Then, I'll leave those in. I think maybe it's just a slight trim here and maybe here. We'll try that. But yeah, back to that movie. It really surprised me. What were they saying? Freaky Friday. Vince Vaughn is in the movie. I don't hate Vince Vaughn. I think he's pretty cool. You know, most of the time, I guess he's not an actor I seek out. But if I see a movie with Vince Vaughn, yeah, why not? I'll give it a shot. I'm sure there are people out there that absolutely hate him, but it's fine. And it just ended up being a very fun movie. I was laughing, having a good time. Just caught me off guard. Silly, fun horror movies that are very self-aware and use practical effects always tickle my heart. So I guess that actually brings up a nice little comment question that's unrelated to Magic the Gathering. What kind of movies do you like to watch, and do you have any movie recommendations for me? I would love to hear them. Been watching a ton of movies. I try to watch as many as I can. This weekend, actually, a lot of them were in the theater, and I was thinking about going to see Uncharted today, but when the computer went on the fritz, I decided that it probably wasn't a good idea. So, just been hanging out all day, installing programs, trying to get the computer back into feeling functional again. Oh, pretty iffy. I think it's probably Scythis. I have 2 Scythis. You know, that's okay. And then hopefully next turn, if I miss my land, I can at least go dig with this card draw. Again, is the opponent just building up for another turn? Oh, terrible. Could be another turn 5 or turn 4 Nissa. Alright, I guess I need to draw a card. I need to hit a land. Okay. It's at least a land. Do they have a flash creature? I don't think they do. Oh, they might have a collected company. This might have been a bad attack. Well, ended up working out just fine. Opponent's down to 14. Got to imagine it's Nissa again. Yeah. So you know what'd be really cool is that Briar, what is it called? Briar's Blessing? Briar something Blessing? No blocking this time, so they do get in for the full 3. And I don't hit my Blessing, but I do hit a land, and I think what I can actually do is put out the Kamigawa Transients and then also the Rain. And then I'm going to go after that Nissa. So let's put the +1/+1 counter on Scythis, making it a 3/4. And then we'll pump up the Wolf, I guess. Because it doesn't matter. It's not going to be huge. But, I mean, it's big enough, right? And then I guess I send these at Nissa like this. So if they want to block or keep the Nissa around, they have to give me that snow-covered forest. And they only have 1 forest. So actually, they're not going to be generating a ton of mana next turn. I think they might not block here. I don't know if I would. Now, if they have some spell that they can cast with that 2 mana they do have available. What? Okay. Hang on. I fully admit that, oh, and Nissa takes that damage, yeah. I actually haven't seen too many of the channel lands yet. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with them. I know a lot of people were raving about them, talking about how good they were, and it worked out pretty well there. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or non-basic land and opponent controls. That player may search the library for a basic land or for a land with a basic land type. Why did they word it that way? For a land with a basic land type. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. So that is pretty busted against my deck that's playing a whole bunch of enchantments, right? And enchantment creatures. So now they have basically infinite mana. Alright. And an Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Wow. Okay. Having a lot of good memories and flashbacks to the game that I played with the Mardu vehicles, the Mardu Grease Fang, Parhelion deck, and just how unfair this game actually is. So silly. Don't pay the intended cost for your things. Don't cast things out when they're intended to be cast out. Ooh, that's tilting. That is tilting. I'll just have to think about Vince Vaughn prancing around the screen. It was killing me. It's so stupid and so childish, but it was a lot of fun. Again, highly recommend. Check it out. At least that one, if you are a mature viewer. Let's go with a Generous Visitor. Hand looks okay, so it's going to be Generous Visitor into the Scythus, into a Life's Bounty. Okay, now that I have... No, it's still... Like, it is... I need the card draw. It is tempting to go Hardened Scales, Alcide, and get in for a little bit of extra damage, but it's not really worth it in the end. I think Scythus on the field, they're not likely going to be able to do anything about it. And next turn is going to be a pretty big attack. So, Hardened Scales out. Put these on the Generous Visitor, sure, doesn't matter. Not a great draw. I'm awfully tempted to actually go out with the other Alcide, just to maximize damage. I know I could hold up the other one for the protection, but I don't. They're mono green. What are they going to do with 4 mana? They could use Boseiju, I guess. Ratchet Bomb. Okay. They're dead? They're dead, right? Yeah. Cool. Pro green. So as long as they don't have some kind of shenanigans, I'm okay. Nice. That's a good win. I like getting the Life's Bounty wins. Alright, so it was right to push that extra damage on that one turn, getting them down to 10, and then just kind of worked out to have exact lethal. Nice start. Keep going. Okay, next one. Game 2. Really glad I got that last win. It's always nice to get a win over an Ugin player. Ramping into Ugin with Nisa. Come on. That's so 2020, 2021, 20? I can't remember when Ugin came out into Standard. Getting punished now. Probably. Really? Come on. That's not fair. 1 land, 1 land, 1 land, 6 lands? You know, I watch, I don't watch a ton of Magic creators, but I will say, I probably threw those away the wrong way. One creator that I like watching is, and I messed that up too. I'm sitting here talking and not even thinking. I like watching Magic Original Decks. I think that's what it's their channel's called, or Arena Original Decks, whatever. They're very popular. I'm sure you've seen their videos. If you watch Magic videos, you've seen that video or that person's videos. And one of their shticks is always talking about how Arena's screwing them, I guess, making them lose games because, you know, you got to keep that 50% win rate ratio, and if you're winning too much, Wizards just floods you or land screws you. It's always funny when he's freaking out about it. I have a pretty good time watching those videos. Alright, I guess it's baffling and take the Soulscar Mage into a Hardened Scales, and then worst case scenario, next turn I have a 4/4 Stonecoil Serpent. Best case scenario, I have a 5/5 Stone Coil Serpent next turn. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's pretty good. All right, but it sure feels like that's that way sometimes, doesn't it? When the lands just come that way. Of course, it's just regular variance. It's a part of the game. You know, it's how it is. You know what? I think I'd rather just take out the Bone Crusher Giant. And then I could put out the Stone Coil as a 2/2, but a 2/2 dies so quickly to so many things they have in their deck. I would much rather a 5/5. Also, it just dies to the Grim Lavamancer as a 2/2. They decide to put Gigantha into hand. Okay, and Gigantha's definitely coming out next turn. So now putting out these Stone Coils as 4/4s doesn't feel too good because they just get stopped immediately. But I guess I have really no choice. At least next turn, this Stone Coil can be a 5/5. Oh, what am I saying? This is fantastic. Protection from multicolor. Although my opponent is playing a mono red deck, Gigantha is a multicolor card, and the Stone Coil Serpent does pretty well against that. Speak wells. All right. Well, I have to block this. I have to assume they have direct damage to finish off this Stone Coil Serpent. Still, that damage going on the Stone Coil and not on my face is probably pretty cool, and I have the follow-up, so it's not the worst. Yeah, let's put this out as a 5. Oh, well. Only going to be paying 3. Where did those land? I guess I did put a whole bunch of lands on the bottom of my library. Yeah, kind of wish those were in my hand right now. Do have to be aware of the opponent's ramming up runes. It is very possible that they could just end up getting me low enough to just burn me out. Maybe it's time to hit the Grim Lavamancer with the Baffling End. I don't really want them getting continuous damage with the Grim Lavamancer. Again, being at 11, 9 this turn, and they have so many ramming up ruins, it's probably just better to do this. And they can't really attack in, not with this Stone Coil hanging around. They're going to need a lot, and it gives me just a lot of time to maybe come back in this game. I wonder if I actually want to put Lurrus into hand maybe soon, instead of casting out the Ranger class next turn. Okay, nothing from the opponent. There's a land, so I could go Ranger class, pump up the Ranger class. But I kind of feel like Lurrus might actually be the better card. And then that'll allow me to... It just dies so quickly. What am I going to get from a Lurrus? If I put the Lurrus into hand, next turn I cast the Lurrus, I could put out a Stone Coil Serpent for 3/3. It's not bad. No. Okay. Ranger class it is. Put that on a white, I think. Pump it up. And now when I attack in with the wolf, it'll actually be a 5/5 because of the 2 hardened scales. Still, I'm not super confident. I think this game is very much in my opponent's favor. They obviously have 4 more damage here. I'm already down to 7. They basically just need 1 more Wizard's Lightning, and the game is going to be over. And I'm not going to be able to really... Yeah. Yeah. So what are they doing? They're going to take me down to... I have to attack. I think I have to attack here. It's unbelievable that I have 4 lands on the field and this Sunpowder Grove is going to come in tapped. Brutal. Okay, I'll put Lurrus in hand. I think I'm dead, though, because they ramming up runes here. Oh, yeah, I'm just dead. I'm dead because I shouldn't have attacked with the wolf. Yep, I killed myself Have to imagine I was dead anyways. Yeah. Okay. So, the cool thing is, Rune of Sustenance is going to be coming in. That's why it's in the deck. And do I want the Snakeskin Veils? Probably not. I think All That Glitters is probably a little bit too risky. And I think also Scythus might be a little bit too vulnerable. So we'll try it like that, and hopefully if I can get a Rune of Sustenance onto a giant Stonecoil Serpent or a giant Kamigawa Transience, whatever, it'll steal the game all by itself, because they're going to have to put so many resources into removing it, and hopefully it'll heal me for a good amount. That being said, one of my favorite lines, if I cast out the Rune of Sustenance, there's a good chance they'll be able to snipe the creature, so I will have to pick my spot very carefully and look for a good opening to be able to get that out. I was on a multi 4 there, right? That was a little bit of a longer game. So on a multi 4, doing that well, you know what? I'm pretty happy against mono red. I think that's about as good as I could have hoped it to go. Yeah. This looks okay, right? Again, the Sunpetal Grove coming in tap. These two lands, I actually don't know if I want to keep Overgrown Farmland and Sunpetal Grove in the deck together, because they always give me trouble. I don't know what it is, but it seems like if you have them in your hand, in your deck, they find their way into your hand and you just can't quite get them out properly. All right, I'm going to lead on the Hardened Scales. I want to get this onto the field, and what I'm kind of thinking is I want to put out the Kamigawa Transience on turn 3 so that I can immediately get it pretty big. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll put out the Sunpetal Grove, and next turn, Kamigawa Transience plus the Overgrown Farmland, which I probably called Overgrown Tomb a bunch of times, now that I'm realizing it. And then the Alseid to follow it up can actually result in a pretty big Kamigawa Transience. That complicates things, so the Soulscar Mage is really annoying, because the Soulscar Mage shrinks my things. So now it's probably better just to go Generous Visitor plus Baffling End. They need to kill the Generous Visitor quickly. It'll be a 3/3 otherwise. And they'll still have lots of chances to kill it, but I think they kill it now. Yeah, that's fine. Wizard's Lightning, again, on a creature like that, a lot better than on my face for killing the Kami. And now Kamigawa Transience next turn will be... it'll be big, and I'll have the Alseid. If I draw a land, I'll also have Alseid protection, and that's pretty cool. It is a land. Okay. So stick to the plan. I have to dodge another lightning bolt here, or Wizard's Lightning. Oh, they have the Wizard's Lightning, or they have something. Kamigawa Transience being at 2 life really makes it weak. Okay, it's fine. These things can maybe come back. I can play out a Lurrus. They're down to 2 cards. It's possible. Wow, what a monster. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff lining up very well for the opponent, and now that's cool. I forgot all about that, but that's what just happened. Kamigawa Transience plus the Reign of Truth. Try to get it up to a 4/4. I could also just put Lurrus in hand. Okay, let's try. They have 1 card in hand. There's no way it's another direct damage removal spell, right? Oh my gosh. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Good hand, opponent. And now they have 5 cards under that Bomat Courier. That was something I wasn't even looking at, but that Bomat Courier is going to cash them in. There's basically a 0% chance that I can win this game now. I guess I put this into hand. Whatever, I'll put out the Life's Bounty. Alright. Good on you. It was a rough one. It was a rough round all around. I think the cards didn't line up very well at all for me, and in either game. See one more card, then probably wrap it up. If only I could have stuck one. The opponent played well. Always holding up some kind of removal, knowing that having 2 hardened scales on the field, things just will get very big very quickly. It was good. Good play. Okay. I mean, I'm not out of this yet. So I do have the land. I do have Luris. I can play out Luris, play out the Alcide. Oh my god, do they have removal for Luris? Well, of course they do. They drew 6 cards. Why wouldn't they have another Pillar of Flame? That lines up pretty nicely against my Luris, right? Play with fire. Close enough. Okay. Well, finish me off. Do I have my emotes? Give him the laugh. A laughing raccoon. I mean, they have me dead so many different ways, right? I'm assuming in their hand they have at least some points of damage. That's surprising. Why not just put that on my face? Like, this, yeah. All right. Cool. That was supposed to be a good game. I was clicking in the bottom right. There we go. Yeah. Ouch. Try it again. Why not? Gotta do a little bit better this time around. That last game felt real bad. Maybe the MTG Arena gods will bless me with their blessing. Bless me with their blessing? Yep, that makes sense. And provide a little bit of a better start. Hand looks okay. Depends all on what the opponent has at their disposal. A breeding pool turn 1. It could be Simic Flash. I've run into that a few times. I think it is actually. When I see Hinterland Harbor, immediately my mind goes Simic Flash, which is really not a deck that I want to be seeing right now. Not with this hand. They will probably have quite a few bounce things, and I feel like I'm going to be loading up one creature to be relatively big. Things like Fading Hope have found their way into Historic lately, in my experience, and could be the case. All right, get another Hardened Scales on the field, and then I'm going to Ranger class, try to get in for 5, but I have a feeling this 2/2 Wolf is going to be bounced back to hand. Really, what can I do? A Beseju. Okay. You know what? I'm actually kind of fine with that. Okay. Definitely misunderread it the last time. I thought it. I guess that is the distinction between that. Search their library for a land card with a basic land type. So this has a basic land type being forest or plains, not necessarily a basic land. Okay, that's neat. So you can't go and get a Hinterland Harbor, for example, but you could go and get a breeding pool. What is the opponent doing? What is this card? Shigeki. Return Shigeki to its owner's hand. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tab. Put the rest into your graveyard, and it channels to return X target non-legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. Interesting. Okay, let's just do this. I'm gonna push maximum damage, I think, here. Getting in for 10, it's not too bad. And I now have the choice to actually put out a Stone Coil for 2. I kind of like doing that because now they have 2 things they have to deal with 3 or 4 mana, and next turn I have another pump with the Reign of Truth. Okay. It's cool. Okay, I have no idea what the opponent's up to. I definitely put them on a very different deck, and all we saw was the Boseiju and the Shigeki. So, yeah, that's neat. That... Are they returning stuff from their graveyard? Is that a thing? Should I bring in Rest in Peace? Probably not. Okay, I think I like a couple of Snakeskin Veils here. I'm going to go down on All That Glitters. I'm not too hot on All That Glitters in this deck. That's why there's only one copy of it in the main board. And let's go down one of the Reign of Truth. Yeah, try something like that. And we'll see. Opponents on... I hope it's a neat looking deck. Shigeki does look kind of cool. I'd like to see how they use it. Hopefully it's not just for ramping. Yeah, I guess it's fine. It's a little bit awkward with this being a plains, with the amount of green that I need. That fixes some problems, right? So I'll put out a Temple Garden, and I guess I lead on Hardened Scales. And then next turn, maybe the Scythus over the Ranger class and the Generous Visitor. Just to get a Scythus on the field, and then maybe I can start drawing cards. So they are just a ramp deck. Okay. Sure. Put this out. Maybe it's a little bit too weak, but we'll see if that's going to be the case or not. A Radiant Fountain for the opponent, gaining a little bit of life, but it's okay. And now, with that, I think how I'm going to play this is probably killing this again. I don't really trust this card. For some reason, I have a fear of it. I can load the Scythus up with 2+1/+1 counters, draw a card, and get rid of the Shigeki. They do have 2 mana open, so it is possible they have a counterspell or a way of protecting the Visionary. The Kamigawa Transience is pretty neat. Okay, so it's kind of working. Growth Spiral, ramp a little bit more. It's possible to see maybe a Nissa next turn. It'll give them not a whole lot of land, because actually they only have 1 forest with that breeding pool. Now, no, that's not a forest at all. Oh, an Ovenwold Hydra. Hang on a second. That thing is cool. In one sense of the word. Alright, what do I do? So if I put out the Ranger class, this is going to get +2, go up to a 5/6, and then if I pump it again, I can actually attack in over the Hydra. And that's pretty neat. How often do you get to see a Scythus attack over an Ovenwold Hydra? I would say you've never seen a Scythus attack over an Ovenwold Hydra. I feel like that is a unique experience that we're all going to have together. I love it. One thing I don't love is this Blast Zone. This Blast Zone is going to absolutely wreck me. So next turn, I guess I got to kill them. It seems a little unfair that they have 2, 4, 6, 7, possibly 8 mana to my 4. I haven't missed 2 Ovenwold Hydras? Oh no. If only these were other Hydras that were like X Hydras, I could actually kill them with the Baffling End, because it would cost 2. It would have a CMC of 2 is what I'm getting at. Okay. So now I guess it's just Generous Visitor with the Kamigawa Transience. And then do I put out... Maybe I just put this out. Do I have to get something? When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls. Okay, so it won't make me get my own thing. So I could actually put this out to just draw and pump up a lot of things. So if I pump here, she'll die this time around. But maybe that's okay. Because I do have to get rid of these Ovenwold Hydras. And this will at least get rid of one of them. And I have a backup Scythus. Okay. Double block. No, 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 no. Opponent double blocked. Oh. Opponent. We're supposed to double block there. Good game. Good game, opponent. Yeah. Good game. Run it back. Let's get him. Never have I been more motivated to destroy an opponent than I am right in this moment. You miss the very obvious double block and then rely on the biggest crutch ever printed into Standard, Ugin. Ugin the Fun Maker. Blows my mind. Alright. Cool. Lands are... yeah, no, they're okay. I was going to say they're a little bit awkward, but no, they're fine. I kind of wish I had a Hardened Scales, but it's fine. I don't know if there are actually any cards that I could run that would stop Ugin. I guess honestly, it's probably not worth it. I just have to beat them down before Ugin happens, is probably the case with my deck. But that card just absolutely hoses my deck. And probably a little bit of an instant loss every single time it hits the field. Okay. Get in with the 2/2 Visitor, and then next turn, drawing a little bit with the Alcide at least. I can also put out the other Generous Visitor before I put out the Life's Bounty, and then I get 2 pumps and a draw with Scythus. They're probably going to do a little bit of drawing themselves. I'm assuming that this is the instant speed. Play a land, play an extra land card. I can never remember what it's called. I can't remember any names. I remember Vince Vaughn's name. That actually surprised me when I was talking about that a little while ago. Wow, I remembered Vince Vaughn, but I don't remember half of the cards that I see in this game. Do I need to hold up the Alcide? I don't think I do. You know what? I think I'm going to put out the Serpent as a X1. Because that'll pump the Michiko a little bit. It is artifacts or enchantments. Hey, it's Growth Spiral. That's the card I was thinking of. So they could have up to 4 mana next turn. And 4 mana is pretty good, but... oh, no. Oh, no! It's pretty... it's only 3. It's not the worst. But that is... it's fine. They did, you know, it hurts their ramp game a little bit. And I'm still getting in for 6. They're down to 7. I have a Ranger class next turn follow up with the pump on the Ranger class. That's pretty cool. They can't Ugin. And I also have the Reign of Truth pump. So, unless they have Sleep. Sleep is in the format, I think. Explore is not going to help them. Put it on the Stonecoil Serpent. It has pro multicolor, so it's a little bit more protected than the other creatures in my deck. Or on the field, rather. Okay. And I guess I put this +1/+1 counter on Scythus. So now I have 7 damage coming in kind of 2 ways, right? So they have to deal with 2 of my 3 creatures that are attacking in. Am I getting roped? Okay. Verdant Command Comes in. Oh my goodness. Verdant Command scared me. I didn't know what it was. They come in tapped. 2/1/1 green squirrel creature tokens, and they gain 3 life, but it wasn't enough. Get the win over another Ugin player. Get out of here, Ugin players. Wasn't that card banned in Historic Brawl? You know, you shouldn't be playing in this. One more. Okay, last one with green-white enchantments. Get to be on the play. That's awfully nice. And I don't know how I feel about this hand. Lands are okay. I do have a Scythe this. Yeah, let's try it. Hopefully, I think I'm going to hold both of the Alcedes in hand so I can get a little bit of card draw with the Scythe this, and hopefully that'll help me get there. That's an Inquisition of Kozilek if I've ever seen it before. Scythe this, bye-bye. And I'm in trouble now. Okie dokie. Yeah, okay, fine. Hardened Scales, maybe it'll be a good card later on in the game, we'll see. Alcide to the field. I wonder if I'm up against like rogues or ninjas. That could be the case. Demir, ooh. Grixis, you say? And it's a Kalane. Sure. Another Hardened Scales, not really doing much, but you know, it's still something. It's at least castable, and it could be really cool if I end up finding a Ranger class in the near future. Maybe. Also going to allow my Stonecoil Serpents to come in a little bit bigger. They're 5/5s now, hitting the field. 4/4s, because I'll probably keep up 1 mana to protect. What? There's the Stonecoil Serpent, by the way. I don't understand. Kozilek plus Kalane plus Svelin. Svelin's very good, but that's weird to me. Okay. So put it as a 4/4. It lines up very nicely against the Sea and Sky Merfolk God. And I have pro whatever to keep it nice and safe. I wouldn't mind a land off the top. That way I can put Luris into hand and then hold up 1 mana to, you know, use the Life's Bounty protection. Ooh, they don't have a land drop themselves. Interesting. Well then, in that case, I'm going to go out with the Generous Visitor. And an Alcide Part 2. And where do I want to put these counters? It's going to be pretty big. Maybe I put them on the Generous Visitor. It'll be a 4/4, and then I can get in with the Stonecoil Serpent. I am out of cards, though. All of my pieces are on the field to my opponent's 6 unknown cards. And you gotta know that those are pretty banging cards. Hopefully there were a bunch of like Thoughtseize and Inquisitions, though. They would have cast them last turn if they were, but... Now, if my opponent goes after the Generous Visitor, do I protect it with the Life's Bounty? That would be the question I'm thinking now. I don't know. I really value keeping this Stonecoil Serpent around. We got our roper. We got a roper, boys. Come on, Caro. Don't be like that. While I'm getting roped, I was just looking around on my desk and I realized that I actually didn't put on my little light today. I don't know if it's a thing that I actually need. They let it go. So I am going to get in with the Stonecoil Serpent. Attack for 4, down to 11. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the lighting situation in the house. I have 2 lights there. I obviously have the green screen behind me and the new camera. And then I was mounting this little light on the top. It's going to be too bright if I... Yeah, not too bad. Right? Give myself a little bit extra light. The problem is it gives a little bit of glare in the glasses, and I don't particularly like that. Without the light, maybe it's a little bit better. But I think my face is a little bit... could be a little bit brighter, right? Yeah. So, although the thing is, with my monitor is not a small monitor. It's a decent sized thing. And... some of these maps are so bright. This map being one of the ones that's kind of middle of the ground. on the brightness scale, but some of them really just illuminate my face. You can, when I'm editing, I can see a huge jump between games. Opponent just maybe Alt F forward is kind of what I'm thinking now. All right, pass it back. Find a land. Look at that. I would love to put Lurrus into hand, but I don't think that's going to be the case. So, while I'm getting roped, what can I bring up? I don't know. A lot of good stuff coming up. Elden Ring. I was thinking about putting Elden Ring on the back burner. That's when I was playing Lost Ark a little bit, you know, in that first few days. But I've kind of gotten away from Lost Ark. I don't think I'm going to be getting back into it again. It just seemed like a second job number. It's just a number simulator. I didn't like that. All right. Unfortunate. Caro probably getting a little bit land screwed there, and Alt F forward and made me go through the motions. That's probably good enough for me. I don't like ending on these notes, but yeah, it's fine. Most of my viewers don't stick around until game 4 anyways. I find they usually dip off after about 10 minutes or so. So if you're still sticking around, I think I said in my last video, hey, it means you must like what's going on here for some reason. Subscribe, comment, let me know. Hit that like button, all that good stuff, right? I'm only going to plead to the poor people at the end of the video when I get nice and bored and want to draw out the time a little bit more after a very uneventful final game. Whatever. Let's go to a wrap-up. All right, so I'm pretty happy with this Selesnya enchantments deck that I threw together. It's playing a lot of really cool new cards, and I've been pretty impressed with a lot of them. I feel like of the 3 new cards, the Generous Visitor, the Saga, Reign of Truth, and then the Kamigawa Transients. The Kamigawa Transients is the one that I find to be the weakest. However, I really, really like this card. From the art to its abilities, everything about it is super cool. And I love spirits, so that helps boost up this card's coolness factor for me. So I'm going to continue playing it, even if it does feel a little bit weak in the overall scheme of the deck. I like the Hardened Scales presence. I really do like the idea of the +1/+1s with the enchantments, kind of dual synergy going on there. But I do think if you want a stronger deck overall, you should just go straight enchantments, which is going to be a deck that I'm going to be playing in a game in a couple of videos, maybe even the next video. I'm not sure. Where is it? It's right here. This, I saw a bunch of streamers already playing it. I think MTG Joe and also Taco Bite, I think, was the other one that I saw playing this deck, and it's super cool. I've always been a big fan of the Runeforge Champion. Comes into the battlefield, we can go find a rune, so the Rune of Sustenance, Rune of Speed, or Rune of Might, and then it reduces the cost of those runes. Mix that with the new Naturalist, and suddenly those are very, very, very free spells, and they draw a card when they enter the battlefield. They give haste, so if we're loading up a giant Kamigawa Transients, or we have something with the if we have a Reign of Truth to follow it up, then we can really pump up one giant visitor or one giant Kamigawa Transients and really get in with a hasty tramply boy. Could be very fun. So I think this kind of build of the deck is probably stronger overall. That being said, I really, really like what I got going on in this deck personally. Just know that it is on the weaker side of what is available in the format, in my opinion, right now. I still don't know how I feel about the All That Glitters. It's another card that I really, really like, but it's very vulnerable. I like the idea of just making my creatures big on their own with the +1/+1 counters rather than having to load them up with auras. The deck doesn't have any protection. You know, if you imagine a deck like Azorius Auras, which I don't know if I have it on here. A similar deck would be this one. This deck is just crazy. It's playing things like Lightpaw, Shram, and Core Spirit Dancer. Of course, you want to load these cards up and then attack in. This deck is not playing any protection because also playing black, so it has removal, but it does have recursion with Kaya's Ghost Form. Some of these decks are playing counter magic to protect their creatures, those kinds of things. So there are a lot of ways to be building auras, to be building enchantments in Historic right now. There's so many options, and I don't think anybody's really figured out the ideal way to build these decks. There might not actually be one. I'm sure there is an A+ tier version of the deck, but I think we get a whole bunch of 1.5 or tier 2 decks because of all the new toys that are available in the format. Anyways, let me know what you think about this deck, what you would change, what you would add, what am I missing, and let me know what you think about it overall. Thanks for sticking around. Take care for now, and have a good week. Bye-bye.